So today was Father's Day. Everyone knows that. You can't escape it. And it's such a weird sensation to be a father when you've lost yours for so long that it starts to feel like some of the thoughts and trainings and nuggets that they give you start to like fade. You have to really try to like hold on to it. Um I didn't want to dwell on any kind of negativity or anything today. Today was a very special day, because Father's Day means that I have my girls and my boy that's on the way, and what that means is I've been given an opportunity to be a father to them and to carry on my dad's legacy as an incredible man that he was. But the more time that passes, it's weird to think that like there's a collection of people out there that don't know who my dad is or who he was, um, in the entire state of Utah and his industries that he worked in, um, or even just in this town as this younger generation grow and the older generation start to die off. I run into more and more people that don't have that burned legacy where when they think of him it hits like a hammer. And it's just weird. It got me kind of thinking today that um like life is short, and they always say like it's not about like it's not about everything that you are doing and achieving and everything, but it's about like what you're leaving behind and the impact that you make. It's a crazy thing with impacts. uh like let's say that you drop a pebble into a pond, and the initial impact is just this tiny little pebble just dropping in, but the ripples that come off of that as they continue to spread throughout the entire pond, that is our lives. So when you think of like your funeral or your wake or whatever you do with your religion, um you think of like everybody that shows up and like the thoughts that they would have, and like what you would want them to think or what you would want them to have an impression of as you left the earth or left this world, the ripples that you've left, and as those ripples reach out and they hit other objects and they ripple back, and you start to think of like what you've done in the past and what you are going to do in the future that can affect those ripples, that can adjust them, to change them, to uh, alter your life trajectory or whatever, or what have you. um and like I think about it all the time that like I want to live a life that others will look up to and respect. And I think that if I do a good job and live that life the way that I work towards and the way I plan to, that I would be able to write a book about it, or like have somebody want to write a book about it, essentially. And I think that thought kind of comes from, there were a couple people that actually reached out to interview my dad a few months before he passed away. Um, and it was so random. They're just traveling across the entire 50 states, and they were looking for 50 different people of different occupations, careers, lives, everything. And when they came through, they stopped a couple different places, gas station, hotel. Everyone they were talking to, they're like, hey, like, we want to talk to somebody that has an impact, somebody that like is a game changer, somebody that really makes a difference in the community. And I don't know if it was coincidence they ran into a couple people that had that admiration for my dad, or if there's more than not. And they pointed him in, or pointed them in that direction, reach out to him. And he's like, yeah, sure. I mean, if I could say something that could help somebody, I'm willing to do it. None of us knew this actually. It was kind of funny. Um, Probably a month or so after his funeral, we got something in the mail, and it was saying like, oh, we've heard about his passing. So sorry. Like, here's copies of all the pictures and the interview that we took. And um, if you followed my channel, it actually is one of the first videos I posted on here. It's his interview, and it was such a hidden gem and a blessing that we can go back and we can hear his voice, hear his thoughts, and like the interview that they were trying to have kept going in um one direction, and he would answer in a way that would drive it back to his points and his focus on family and religion and the more important things in life. And like it just gets you thinking, like, if something was to happen to me tomorrow, and me and Megan, we talk about death, we talk about like things happening, because what happened to dad kind of like kicked me in the teeth. I wasn't expecting. I was 17, I wasn't even 18 yet. And so that's something that we've been very open about. We've talked about, we planned for it, like plan for the worst, hope for the best kind of things. And so it's like, if something was to happen to me tomorrow, what would those around me say? What would the stories be that my girls would hear about me as they grow up? I've always tried to be present. I've always tried to be the dad that's there on his hands and knees playing Barbie dolls, and I may not have the best Peppa Pig voice, but I will bust it out anytime they need those little pigs to have voices. And it just makes me think, like, when that does happen, because I mean, I will die someday. They haven't figured out the fountain of youth, and honestly, I don't think living forever would be nearly as exciting. um, when it does happen, what will they hear from the people around me? What will they hear from my family members and my colleagues and friends? And so it just makes you like think about like how you're living, how you're dealing with your fellow man. And like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I told them, I was like, everywhere I go, if I'm in public for something, I am always 110% energy. I could have the worst day ever, but I do everything I can to make sure that when I'm running into those people at Maverick or Clark's or wherever I'm going, that I give them full energy. Like, I am so excited to see them. Like, it's literally made my day. And just in the hopes that they will be lightened. Like, you never know what load somebody's carrying that day. Um, and so I guess when when I do that, and I am having those interactions with people and like reminiscing and talking about the past or whatever, and it's always in such great light, I like to remember how my dad handled all of his conversations. And he was like, maybe he wasn't quite perfectly polished as I remember him, but I remember him always able to voice his opinion, always able to get his thought across, and to have those discussions with people that people needed to have. Um, and that's something that, like, when he passed, people would tell a story here or there, post it on his Facebook, and you'd get to hear those funny, quirky stories of high school, or um, just the little moments that people had that they think of when they think of him. And it's like, can you imagine the power that we have, um, as we're here, still living in this life? Um, how incredible it is that those obituaries, or those stories that people will remember us by, we are sitting in the driver's seat. We've been handed the pen, we have been handed the paper, and we're writing our own story. And I guess it could be stressful. It's a lot of responsibility to write your own legacy. Um, with every day that goes on, every day that passes. And when you do that, I feel like we don't take it serious enough. And some people take it too serious, I'm sure. But as you are going through and writing your own legacy and dealing with people in different situations, um, remember the purpose of all of it, I guess. They always say that if you have a goal, um, without a game plan, that's just a wish. I feel like having an idea of what you want your legacy to be without any means to get there, that's nothing more than a fantasy or a fairy tale that you're trying to write for yourself. And so if you are wanting to make an impact and cause those ripples and write the story that you want people to tell, you need to put the energy and the thoughts and planning that go into it. Um, I mean, this is probably a bad example because I didn't really write any of this down or plan any of this splurb. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. But when you plan out what you're doing, it goes more smooth. I mean, that maybe this is a good example. I've had a couple stray thoughts and was just kind of wandering all over the place. But if I had written this down and following a script, then, or rehearsed what I was going to say, maybe my point would have come across better. You never know. The thing is, we have people that I'll talk to, and they have this grand idea to take their entire family to, like, Disneyland. Um, they'll plan everything down to the T. Like, they will research sandwich costs at the sandwich place on Disney Avenue, and they will research gas prices in the surrounding areas for their rental car. And they will do so much research and study, and they will build the most descriptive plan that they could have ever figured out. Like, they almost went to college for this. And they will put it into play, and they will work their butts off for years to get to this point. Um, but those same people, they won't put the same energy and effort into their own life plans, their own legacy they're writing. And the thing is, nobody does. Like, you meet people, and they'll have a job, they'll have a career, they'll have a family, they'll have hobbies. But who do you know that has sat down and said, this is what I want to be, and this is what I want to be to others? This is the impact I want to make. I had posted a reel the other day basically saying that, um, the audio was saying that there, in every family, there's a one that changes the trajectory of the family. And I feel like every single person is that one. It just depends on what trajectory they're changing. um I mean, we grew up fine. I don't remember ever stressing about money. And maybe my parents hid that from us, but I feel like we had nice things and we survived, and maybe there were other families that had nicer things, but um that didn't matter. And so my parents, they changed their trajectory from their family dynamics to what ours was. And so now it's up to me to take what they have given me as fuel and guidance and do the trajectory for my life and my family. And my kids will probably think I'm crazy someday, and they'll raise their kids completely different. Um, and when they do that, that's great. I'm gonna be so proud. And that's that's the point. That is the point of all of this. We got thrown out here on Earth with no plan, no warning, no heads up for what life was supposed to be like. And it is up to us to take what we are given and make the most of it. And so when you are given the opportunity to take what somebody has given you and refine it and take out the dross and forge it into something better. I always seem to go back to blacksmithing. I love blacksmithing, but when you were able to do that, how incredible is that? Like it's it's one thing to be given something great, but it's another to be able to take that and to work on it so that it can be better for your family, for who you are. And so I guess on this little blurb that I don't even know what the word blurb means. Um, you are in charge of your story. You are in charge of your legacy. It's not just something that some random person is going to write for you when you die. It is everything leading up to that moment. And I feel like if you gave that a little thought, maybe one of these days sit down and just go, like, look at your life, um, you would find purpose in the different things than you would regularly. Um, little things like I try to make sure I'm in videos with my girls. All the videos of my dad. He's the voice in the background, and so I'll do a lot of selfies with my girls and a lot of videos where I'm trying to show that I'm there with them and in that moment, because when I am gone someday, if they do want to see me, it I'm not some like ominous being that's always the deep and the powerful voice recording the videos. And I'm trying to be better at recording myself in all of my glory in times like these. Which this office helps a lot with that. Obviously I have a bug problem because my halo light is attracting some little bugs. I'm sure you've noticed, but those changes and those pivots and those shifts in life that we do to better ourselves and to better write our story, that is why we're here. That is the point of everything. And if you miss that point, you're living life just gambling, basically, and hoping that you hit the right triggers to affect a couple people. If you want somebody to get up there at that podium and read your life story and just say they impacted everyone they knew, they brought a smile to everyone's face, they were funny, they were straight up comedian. And I don't know if you caught on, those are some of the things I think about usually. I try to be the funny guy. Especially in like dark times, I struggle with not turning it into comedy. And when those people get up there, you can choose what they're going to say. So next time you head to the store and you're surrounded by hundreds of people that you figure you don't really care what you look like or what your attitude is going to be because they know you and it's not a big deal. But the version of you that they know, is that the version of you that you want them to know? So start tomorrow and rewrite that version that you want people to know. And when you do that, go out and start living your life and building that plan and sticking to that plan so that when those people get up on that podium and they speak your truth, it will be the story that you have written for years to come. So be better, do better.